definitely cooler than yesterday. We were in the 30s this morning, and the high today in the upper 50s, probably close to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. Now, it will get a little chilly tonight, but rain is likely tomorrow, especially in the afternoon and evening. Some scattered showers, maybe a quarter inch of rain for most of us. Not a big deal. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest hour, the finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Emily, who is back today. Great to see you, kiddo.
Good to be back.
Yeah, great to have you back. Lots to talk about on a very busy Tuesday afternoon. Our friend Susie Moore from Red State is going to join us in the 3 o'clock hour. We are also, this is, one of those things who was it we were talking to yesterday? It might have been producer Jerome, who was in for Emily yesterday, was talking about every show feels this way. Every show feels like the breaking news always happens right after you get off the air. It's like, oh, just right when we, just left or had some guest that was perfect for some, topic. All of a sudden news breaks in that area right after, you interviewed somebody who would have been perfect for that, or you just got off the air. That literally happened exactly today, because on every Monday afternoon, we talked to Mike McCleary from Intervine, who is our AI expert, has been just an absolute wealth of information and insight and just education when it comes to AI and its continued influence on politics, but every aspect of our lives, and how that's going to be I think a big, obviously a big growing issue moving forward. Well, we talked to him yesterday, and then this morning, the headlines are a large artificial intelligence advocacy group is urging Donald Trump to make Elon Musk his special advisor to the White House focused on AI. And they've launched a petition that they are asking Americans to sign to try to make this happen. So we may try to double dip with Mike today and see if he's available. And we're definitely going to talk about this story, but we're going to maybe try to double dip with Mike. And is he good? We know
he's good, as long as he said he's allowed to have a TikTok meltdown. So about the election,
tell him he can do whatever.
Said yes, but you need lots of tears. Yeah. Please really sell it.
Yeah, tell him I'll clear. Yeah, tell him I'll clear any content he wants to release. So
He's
that's great.
Triggered.
Well, that's wonderful. So we'll do a double. We'll double dip with Mike McCleary this week and get his thoughts on this new petition and this push by people in the industry to have Trump make Elon Musk would be obviously creation of a new position, special advisor to the White House focused on AI. So all of that, and starting the show with us, as we have a lot to talk about. Speaking of the Trump team and positions, Yeah, that is the news of the day. Trump building his team, and a lot of innuendo and who's going to be on it and who's not going to be on it. And some announcements were made today. So we will go through all of that. And here to help us with that is our good friend Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com. And Crane, as this administration comes together, and we all digest this election and what it means to the future, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
Brothers got a hug and squeeze on occasion. And that's squeezing, the shoulders and tapping the back and saying, hey, big fella, we've got a lot to do and a little time to do it. So let's get on it. And that's exactly what President Trump has been doing. And he continues to do it. And it's pretty cool.
It's every 4 years. 4 years is a long time. And when you're like me and you only have so much space in your brain, you delete certain things or push them aside, archive certain things, and you don't remember even things that happened as shortly as 4 years ago. We have had a ton of news, specifically in the last 48 hours, obviously since election night. The idea and the rumors and who's going to be in the cabinet, who's going to be on part of this administration has started, but man, it has really picked up in the last 48 hours. Today is only 1 week from the election. Is this faster than usual? Why does this am I just misremembering the past, or is this team coming together faster than administrations in the past?
I think certainly in the 2016 reference, absolutely. And I think that's because Trump knows what he wants to do and he knows how to do it. Or more effectively, he knows more about how to do it. And so, although I like Pompeo, I understand why our president-elect, our former president and president-elect, President Trump, was going to pass on him and Haley. I get it. I was really, I was enthused by and heartened by the Rubio pick, as well as the national security advisor. From what I understand about him, he's a no-nonsense guy, and it's about being strong. And when America's strong, we don't open up vacuums where, in essence, weakness invites aggression. So peace through strength. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So some of this, and that definitely seems to be the message that especially when it comes to the border issue, the defense selections, and anything in that regard on the world stage. That seems to be the peace through strength motto. Seems to be the rallying call and the main sentiment behind everything. We're going to go through the new announcements in the last 24 hours here, one by one, because some of them are brand new. People may not know that this has happened or be familiar with each one of these candidates. Before we do that, I'm glad you mentioned Pompeo, because I was actually going to ask you about this. You mentioned that last week when I was asking you the names that you would like to see on this team, you mentioned Pompeo, and this should not surprise you. There was some reaction to what you said, and some, and people, listeners, were pushing back on that idea. The people that did not agree with you and didn't think that things ended well the first time around with Pompeo, and again, these were several emails from a week ago, so I can't remember the specifics of each one, but obviously, that is going to be something that that is expected. Why would you push back on the anti-Pompeo crowd and say that he would still be good for this administration, whether he's out of the running or not? Just hypothetically, why is that a guy that you believe in?
Well, I would just go to the general points of supporting a traditional foreign policy that is peace through strength. I realize that a lot of folks will disagree with me over time, but I'm not. My opinions don't have an expiration date. Now, they can be filled in and changed with more information as it goes, but if some people want to call me a neocon, which is the guy who says, hey, guess what? What we did in Iraq was the right thing to do. We didn't do it very effectively in the beginning, not because our troops performed amazingly, but by 2008, after the surge, we had gotten rid of Al Qaeda and really handed off President Obama with a peaceful Iraq relatively. And he screwed that up big time. So there's a lot of anti-war sentiment. I'm not sitting there going, hey, let's go to war. I think it's an asinine portrayal of people who are hawkish, yes, and believe in peace through strength and recognize that war is an option, but only after you exercise all the other options possible. And so I think the debate about national security has been polluted with those who would say, hey, Crane Durham, like Tucker Carlson would probably say, I'm a warmonger, or
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard would say that. And I sit back and I go, wait a second, the facts haven't changed. There were 17 UN resolutions at the time. What are you doing about history right now? Because if you're saying Iraq was bad and bad things happened, I agree. But get the focus on Obama and what he did, which was create a vacuum, didn't give our troops diplomatic status, which he could have done, and it maintained our troop levels. Get the facts right on that. And it really bothers me that revisionist history comes along because it's politically expedient. Yeah, I am for Iraq. I thought what we did in Iraq was heroic and amazing, and our troops performed amazingly. Could we have done things better? You betcha. And there are mistakes made in every war. And when it came to Afghanistan, no, I wasn't part of the Obama strategy. I thought that was wrong. Absolutely. And I thought we should have kept troops in Afghanistan. I thought it was ridiculous that we would move 16 to 1,800 troops. I thought Trump was on the right track. And I thought Trump's foreign policy over the 4 years was pretty extraordinary. Great, in fact. He kept us safe. But he wasn't somebody who was dovish. He was smart about the allocation of resources. And so when somebody brings up somebody who may have a point of view that you go, oh, you know what? Now history, it's convenient for me to not think George W. Bush was doing the best he could with his shaped head. I got news for you. George W. Bush was heroic, and I thank Jesus every day that he was in that office on 2001. And I'm not going to change my opinion because of the political winds. Now, some people are anti-war, and I get it. I think we are all anti-war. But what I don't understand is the rewriting and the contextually dishonest discussion that so often takes place when we talk about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I think the Afghanistan point is so important to remember. You know, Nancy Pelosi, has been saying publicly, trying to repair her, maybe not repair her relationship with Joe Biden, but try to make it seem to the public that the Democrat Party isn't as split as in shambles as it is, and making reference to Joe Biden belonging on Mount Rushmore. And we've heard so many Democrats talk about what an amazing, the best 4-year president in history. The Democrats like to say about Joe Biden. Afghanistan was very early in his presidency. And as we, just yesterday was Veterans Day, and I'm looking at a flag that we have here in the studio for the Freedom 13, the servicemen and women that were killed during the Afghanistan withdrawal. This is such a important reminder that whatever that team is, and we're, like I said, we're going to talk about some of these individual names as we go through the show today. Whatever this team is, the importance of presenting that strength on the world stage to prevent these catastrophes from happening. Joe Biden's presidency was horrible, and it's in the first major mistake was what happened in Afghanistan, and
it opened the door for other things.
Yeah,
and it's a necessary conversation to have. Again, what I don't like is the characterization of people who understood that the person who mixed the chemicals for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing was being housed in Iraq at the time. They want to rewrite history on it, and that's a disservice not only to the people who are disagreeing with them, but to themselves, because then we're not getting the right lessons in history. The lesson is Obama sucked. Pardon me. He screwed it up, and he did it in a galactic way, and he cost lives. And yes, we should have more troops there earlier, but the surge was a success. And if we don't understand that, then that's a problem.
Yeah. It's, Donald Trump has been saying, and his supporters have been saying, and I also believe this to be true, that there probably wouldn't have even been the war in Ukraine had he been president. Things probably would not have unfolded the way that they have in the Middle East. But having that system in place, that structure in place, that peace through strength idea in place to stop a war from like that from being put together by the bad guys and then started and now underway. It's easier to prevent it when you have a good system in place than it is to inherit these situations and put an end to them. Do you think Donald Trump, what do you think about his first steps and his ability to address these foreign wars that we are, that we are obviously entangled in, and make them better, or maybe make them go away, at least to a large degree? Are you optimistic about the president's chances of when it comes to these foreign wars?
Yes. Short answer, yes. He understands Iran's the threat. Iran's leadership at some point has to go. I don't know if we're there yet. I think he understands that. I think with the Ukraine, I think it's very important to communicate for leverage with Putin to end the war, which means Putin stands down, and perhaps there is some land that is redrawn, just so to speak. But the only way he's going to get Putin to the table is to continue to, one, threaten long-range weapons use by the Ukraine and funding them. That's how we get Putin to the table, because Putin's a war criminal and he's a psychotic and he is a danger. And a lot of people, I'm sorry, but this is a pet peeve of mine, because it really does not speak up for the victims of the tyranny of Vladimir Putin. The idea is this guy is a killer. And he's not a pro-American guy. He's not a good guy. He's a flippin' war criminal. And he should be absolutely portrayed as he is.
Yeah.
People who speak out against Putin and Russia, you know what happens to them? They end up dead. And oftentimes they're journalists. Check out Winter is Coming by Gary Kasparov. It details Vladimir Putin. And that's all you really need to know about him.
You're exactly right. All right, we are going to get into some of these most recent announcements about the team that Donald Trump is putting in place. And just to set the table, the first one we are going to talk about is the most recent announcement made just a little earlier today. Donald Trump has announced that Mike Huckabee will be the U.S. ambassador to Israel. So obviously, Governor Huckabee is going to be somebody that is going to be central to this discussion that we are having. So we will tell you about, Trump's announcement about Mike Huckabee, and talk about some of these other recent announcements and the team that Donald Trump is putting in place. And we will continue that conversation with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com next here on Colombo and Company.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
If you are thinking about selling your home, the best team to call is the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can tell you about the stats that back that up. They're selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. Also, we say that all the time about the Wallners because it is an amazing stat, but we say it a lot, which means that, you can come sometimes sort of gloss over that. Think about that for a second. 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller is what the Walners are capable of doing. That's the kind of success. That's the kind of results that Rodney and Jen Wallner deliver for their clients, for the people that they work with. And as you know, I am one of those. I can speak to this personally. We had a wonderful experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner when we sold our old home. And then for us, it wasn't just selling our home, but it was buying a home on the other side of that deal for our family. And the Wallners were absolutely incredible every step of the way. So they've got those stats to back them up, but they also have the intangibles. They have the experience and the work ethic to be the best. That's why I cannot recommend them enough. The Wallners are licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the St. Louis metro area, Rodney and Jen Wallner can help you. And it's been a little while, a few years since we went through the process with the Wallners. But one thing that has not changed in that time is the market being very much a seller's market. So still a great time for you to sell your home. If this is something you've been thinking about, don't let that window of opportunity close. Call the Wallners now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of 3 places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What should the legislature consider regarding education policy for 2025? Susan Pendergrass of the Show Me Institute at 520 Everett Jones.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
The Lord is come. Let earth.
You don't know anybody an explanation.
No, I really do. I really thought it was. I'll reenact what I thought. Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
You saw the title "Joy to the World" and you
I
thought,
got really
this
excited,
is it.
and I was like, "This is Joy to the World," like because it's in your. Oh, it's not in your section. I thought if it was in your section, it would be the
We're off the air. We're getting ready to go back on, and
Yeah.
the song starts, and Emily, her shoulders dropped. She was like, "What is this?"
I
This
wanted
is not
the
what I put
cool year-round Joy to the World, not the it's like kind of you can play it whenever. It is a Christmas song, but you can
Is
play
that
it
the
whenever.
Christmas? I didn't even.
This is the
just,
Christmas song.
I
This
didn't
is
even
Joy.
know.
This is
Joy to the world. Oh, perfect timing. There you go.
yeah. This is not the Bullfrog song that I.
Well,
wanted.
hey, listen, it's almost holiday season. You're all right. You get away with
Yeah.
this one.
So sorry.
But yeah, just Emily would like everybody to know
I did not intentionally
Didn't mean to
choose
play
that
Christmas
one.
music yet. Welcome back to Colombo and Company. Go ahead, Crane. Go ahead.
I love the Christmas music.
I am
It's the reason for the season.
Is it the season yet?
Listen, I am Captain Christmas, and I love Christmas music, but I also respect Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to dive in head first until after Thanksgiving. Now, after Thanksgiving, all bets are off. I'm ready for Christmas music like crazy. But I'm not quite there yet.
Casually takes it out of the lineup for the outro.
Yeah. Okay. So point taken, hint taken. All right. Welcome back to the show. Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com is with us in this 2:00 hour. Just mentioned in that last segment that the most recent announcement made by Donald Trump about the administration that he is building around him is the announcement of Mike Huckabee, the former Arkansas governor, is Donald Trump's choice to be the next U.S. ambassador to Israel in the incoming Trump administration. He just made this announcement a little earlier today saying, quote, "I am pleased to announce that the highly respected former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, has been nominated to be the United States ambassador to Israel. Mike has been a great public servant, governor, and leader in faith for many years. He loves Israel and the people of Israel, and likewise, the people of Israel love him. Mike will work tirelessly to bring about peace in the Middle East." This is the definition of a developing story, Crane. This is fresh news this afternoon. We're going to get into some of the other picks and rumored picks as we go through this conversation. But let's start with Mike Huckabee and this announcement today and your thoughts.
It's great. Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm a big fan of Governor Huckabee and what he has said in the past on Israel and his understanding of the issue. I think this sends a direct message to Iran because they are the fomenter of Islamic terrorism throughout the world. And even if people sit back and go, "Oh, what about the Shia-Sunni divide?" and that, listen, Hamas is Sunni and they got half their funding, at least from Iran. So this sends a signal to with us or against us. I like that. Again, highlighting back to George W. Bush, though not perfect. I could criticize him actually on Israel, but I digress. The point is this. It's a strong signal to say, hey, if you're funding this stuff, if you are supporting Islamic terrorism and you're an enemy of Israel, watch out. You better get your ducks in a row because we aren't going to play around. We're not going to try to understand your point of view of slaughtering Jews. We just aren't going to have it.
Speaking of the Huckabee family, obviously Sarah Huckabee, now Sarah Sanders, was a key part of the first Donald Trump presidency. And, we've talked about how this team is so important, this administration that Trump builds. And if there's one thing that you could look back at his first term as president that you could criticize, it is the team that he built around him and all the turnover and all the sensationalism that went on with that. I think that he will be much better with all the experience that he has garnered, both as president and then just, over the past 4 years and running for the office 3 different times. So I think this team is going to be much better. But when you look at his former team, a place that he absolutely did a great job with in a couple different times was press secretary with Sarah Sanders and Kayleigh McEnany. You think that Sarah Sanders, do you think that she finds her way into this administration, or do you think that she stays in Arkansas and the only member of that family that's on this team is Mike?
I think she most likely will stay in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I think she was considered as a VP pick, and I think she has a record and to do her job as governor. I think that is a wonderful place for her future plans in the sense of being a leader of a state and will have a record to show for it. So I just think it benefits her more to do that. And I think she would look at it like any patriotic American, as if she's called, obviously she will she will do what she can to fulfill the service that she is requested on. But if it is the idea of, oh, hey, I want a job, I don't think so. I think she's going to stay at governor.
Press secretary is not one of the positions that has been, in the headlines as much as some of these other ones. However, it is one that there's a lot of rumors already about. One of those rumors is Megyn Kelly could be the person that Trump taps to fill that position. Do you have anybody that you would like to see as press secretary for Trump?
Well, this is not going to happen.
Do you think Karine Jean-Pierre could keep her job? Do you think there's a possibility of the tension?
There's always a possibility. But I would just like to see Newt Gingrich for a day, or Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
For that. Ben Shapiro would be my pick.
Ben Shapiro would be hilarious.
He would be awesome.
That would be
actually,
fantastic. Yes. I mean,
you would never get anything. Kayleigh McEnany was so good at that.
Kayleigh McEnany is amazing with her binder.
With her big binder,
Yeah.
you just could not get anything past her.
I love her.
And Ben Shapiro would definitely be, the male version of that.
The male, slightly nerdier
version of you're just not going to trick him. That will obviously be because of how public that position is. As I look at the television and see Karine Jean-Pierre's face on it as we speak, because of how public that position is, obviously it's going to be one that is the
dynamic between her and Peter.
I just want to remind people, as we're talking about KJP, as they call her, she's black and gay. Just letting you know. Supposedly that's what is germane when it comes to the communications job.
Yeah, that was her qualification.
When you get there, that's important. That's the most important. Not the obviously not her ability. Which all Americans reject that
her
crap.
Experience,
by the way.
Right? Yeah, that didn't matter. Let's talk about Secretary of State. That one is getting obviously a lot of headlines, and here's an interesting development in that race. Marco Rubio has been, he is the one that is getting all the attention right now. He is the one that is reportedly going to be Donald Trump's selection for Secretary of State, and he's getting a lot of support from fellow Republicans. But he also got support today from maybe an unlikely spot. John Fetterman, Senator Fetterman out of Pennsylvania, hails Rubio as a strong choice for Secretary of State and says he will vote to confirm him. The Pennsylvania senator called Senator Mark Rubio, who President Donald Trump is expected to tap as Secretary of State, a, quote, strong choice for the cabinet level role. He went on to say, quote, unsurprisingly, the other team's pick will have political differences than my own. That being said, my colleague at Senator Mark Rubio, this is a statement on Twitter, is a strong choice that I look forward to voting for its confirmation. If Rubio does take the job, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will have to appoint a senator in Florida to fill that vacant seat until a special election is held to fill it. So obviously he would be, because that is going to be a major consideration for a lot of these positions, because there's always House members and Senate members that are, being considered for these jobs. And you also have to keep in mind the very slim majority. It looks like they've taken the House as well as procuring the Senate. The Republicans have. But you don't want to mess with that too much, and this would not impact the Senate majority. As again, in Florida, it would be Ron DeSantis would immediately select somebody to fill that vacant spot until a special election could be held in the state of Florida to replace Marco Rubio. Your thoughts about the idea of Marco Rubio becoming Secretary of State?
Well, first off, on Fetterman, I think a lot of things in the condition and the information we had at the time was not lining up for him to be a statesman and even able to do his job. And he's done an extraordinary job, and I'm very happy for his health, regardless of his political views. I like the fact that he recovered, and thank you, Jesus, for that. Now, the point to him being a statesman and Marco Rubio, see, where Americans used to come together. Oftentimes people would say at the water's edge, that's where we come together. We face things down, good versus evil, so to speak. The modern day Nazi movement that we have on college campuses and throughout some cities that we see this type of behavior needs to be recognized for what it is. Marco Rubio recognizes it. There's a wonderful clip, and I'm sure you've played it because I remember you playing it way back when. Tony, always being on top of things, is the fact that he talked to a Code Pink lady. I forgot her name, but everybody knows her.
Yeah.
Poor thing needs to eat a cheeseburger, needs more protein. But the point is this. The idea is that he was able to communicate clearly and effectively to the lie of civilian deaths being caused by Israel as opposed to Hamas. And I thought it was brilliant and wonderful. And that's what we need, good communicators to get our message out and for people to understand where there's daylight and where there's no daylight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I just want to say about Senator Fetterman as well. I am so diametrically opposed to him on many issues.
Yes.
But just like every human being, you can definitely find common ground every now and then. And I will say about Fetterman, I wish that more politicians on both sides of the aisle were like this. He's not afraid to. You always know where John Fetterman stands on an issue. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He won't just toe the party line if he disagrees with it. He's obviously been a very staunch supporter of Israel, and when that has not been popular in the Democratic Party, and for him to say that he would vote to confirm Marco Rubio, I just that's the way it's supposed to go. That's the way it's supposed to happen, and unfortunately, it very rarely happens the way it's supposed to. So I got to give Senator Fetterman some credit for that. So Rubio, for his own right, he has announced that he is supporting fellow Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott for this role of Senate Majority Leader. This is another hot button. Everybody's watching what's going to happen here with the leadership position in the Senate now that the Republicans are taking control back and Mitch McConnell is stepping down. Senators John Cornyn of Texas, John Thune of South Dakota, and Senator Scott of Florida are the three contenders. Reportedly the three people that could get this role. There's going to be a secret vote in the Senate tomorrow afternoon that we'll all be keeping a very close eye on. So Rubio has come out and with some other Republican senators to endorse Scott, including Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Rand Paul of Kentucky, Bill Hagerty of Tennessee, and Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. Rick Scott seems to be the Trump pick, although Donald Trump hasn't publicly, officially endorsed anyone in that race, but all the Trump people are, not only those senators, but people like Elon Musk and other people that are close to Trump have endorsed Rick Scott. He seems to be the Trump pick. But despite all that, Crane, the news out of Washington is that he is still an underdog in that race, and it's John Thune that is reportedly the favorite to win that vote. He's the number 2 currently in the number 2 Republican in the Senate. He's widely viewed as the establishment choice. The reports claim that he's more popular with Republican senators than Rick Scott is. He's been Mitch McConnell's right-hand man for a very long time. So, obviously he's made a lot of deals and relationships and connections in that time. What do you think? The Trump pick seems to be Rick Scott, but the money pick seems to be John Thune. Your thoughts?
I think Scott's going to win this, and I think it's because he has the grassroots movement behind him, and the idea of, I think Mitch McConnell did some very good things, and he also was terrible at some points. And I think he has a mixed record. I like the fact that we got 3 Supreme Court justices. That was awesome, and tax cut, etc. But the bottom line is Rick Scott is being pushed right now because he's viewed as somebody who's going to get things done and not have to compromise on our principles, not come out with an immigration bill that was taking place even with the conservative on there, Langford. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
People are tired of that. They're like, we're all tired of it. Thank God for Homan being appointed as the czar for immigration. We need very clear boundaries on what we are going to accept and negotiate on. And I think there is an idea to say, hey, Rick Scott has gotten things done. He made a mistake, I think, with the producing of a particular policy paper dealing with Social Security. I don't recall exactly what it was, but I think it was at the time talking about entitlements and something that was not going to positively affect the candidacy of one Donald J. Trump or any Republican in the sense of the big lie of entitlements, et cetera, made by the Democrats. Though entitlements need to be fixed. I get it. I'm a big proponent of it, but it's when you do things, picking your battles and when to do it. So Rick Scott, I think, is going to come out on top there. I think Mike Johnson was not looked at as the big pick originally when it came to speaker. I thank God every day that he is the Speaker of the House, and that we have Rick Scott in there. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you this about the mandate put in front of this team that Donald Trump is building, and Speaker Johnson, and whether it's Thune or Rick Scott leading the Senate, the American people have given this Trump administration and this Republican Party the keys to everything. And now they have to produce. Now they have to put their money where their mouth is. And if they don't, they're not going to have anybody to blame. You can play the Joe Biden card and try to blame Donald Trump for everything for 4 years, but I don't think the American people are going to accept that. Even in quite frankly, the conservative voters are not.
Yeah,
going to
Tony, what about the chief of staff? I'd love to get your point of view on her, because I think she sends the clear signal that this thing's going to be organized and we're going to be efficient.
So you know what I want to. So there's some of these. There's some policy announcements that I want to talk about before we run out of time with you. I want to say this though, because you mentioned Homan, who we mentioned yesterday as the border czar. You also referenced earlier Mike Walls, who was announced as the national security advisor, and the chief of staff, who is the first female chief of staff in United States history, presidential chief of staff in United States history. Donald Trump also in his first administration, nobody ever remembers this or talks about this, that he was the first president to ever install a openly gay man to the presidential cabinet. So here's this, this racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, all the things that we've been told about Donald Trump. And he, once again, to your point, sets American history by appointing the first female chief of staff, presidential chief of staff in history. And in his first term, it never gets talked about that he, with Grinnell, the first openly gay member to the presidential cabinet. Yeah.
And it wasn't because Grinnell's gay
or
that the woman's a woman. And that's the beauty of it. And people understand it was because they were the best suited for the job, according to Donald J. Trump. And thank you. Thank you. We can get back to that American concept that took us so long to live up to, but we did through the civil rights movement. Bottom line, the election sends a strong signal. The American dream is alive, and people are tired of revisionist history and retarding our system with ideas that are anti-American.
Got just a couple minutes left here with Crane Durham before we get Susie Moore from Red State into the conversation. As I mentioned, there's been some announcements about policy actions that Donald Trump is expected to take when he gets into office. We will tell you about those announcements as we continue with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com next here on Colombo and Company.
News, analysis, opinion.
Your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. We're going to need additional funding.
That's exactly what I just asked about. And you said it was
No.
misinformation.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
Get a life, man.
News Talk STL.
Bring your whole family to the Moolah Festival of Trees this year and browse through a winter wonderland filled with over 40 exquisitely decorated Christmas trees and all the gifts. Each tree has a minimum value of $500, some worth up to $10,000. You can take a chance to win one of the beautifully decorated trees and all the gifts that go with it for as little as $1. While you're there, don't miss Kris Kringle Cafe with sweet treats and beverages available for purchase. Have your photo taken with Santa. Bring the whole family to the Moolah Shrine, November 23rd to the 30th.
I've been talking to you guys for a while now about Michaels, and my favorite thing about that is that I get to speak from experience. I used Michaels when I needed new flooring, and I had a great experience with them, and I can confidently tell you that you will too. Michaels Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years now. So you know you can rely on them. You know you can trust them. If you want variety, Michaels has it. They've got carpet, they've got hardwood, they've got laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, lots of options to choose from. Plus, you know your installation is going to be done right by the experts at Michaels and not just a random subcontractor. And the best thing about it is that with Michaels, you get the combination of saving money and getting great quality. You can shop and store at one of their 3 locations, on Olive and Creve Coeur, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters. Or you can go online and shop at home. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Mentioned earlier in the show that there is an AI advocacy group that is petitioning the American people. It's a petition to Donald Trump to make Elon Musk to create a new position in the presidential administration to make Elon Musk the special advisor to the White House focused on AI. We're going to talk to our AI expert, Mike McCleary, in the 3 o'clock hour about that. We're also going to talk to Susie Moore from Red State about some of these national issues, but also what's happening here locally. The conversation that we had yesterday with Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks and his announcement that he is running for Speaker of the House in the state of Missouri. There's going to be a lot of political wranglings, both locally and nationally. So we will continue the conversation with Susie Moore from Red State in a few moments. Right now, we are talking to Crane Durham from nothingbutruth.com. And Crane, not only, we've talked almost this entire hour about the team that Donald Trump is building around him. There's also headlines out today about some of the moves he's expected to make policy-wise when he takes office. And one of those new headlines is that Donald Trump is expected to end the Biden-era death penalty pause on federal criminals and expand the death penalty to more federal inmates. So President-elect Donald Trump put federal death row inmates on notice during his campaign when he warned that he would undo a moratorium on executions slapped into place under the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris administration. And not only would he be ending that, Donald Trump has said that he wants to expand capital punishment for other federal crimes, putting execution on the table for child rapists, human traffickers, and illegal immigrants who kill Americans or police officers. Now, that expansion of the federal law would also require support from Congress and the Supreme Court. Crane, I will just quickly say, I'm all for it. Your thoughts?
Amen, amen, amen. That's what I was saying. It really don't. When we think about crimes against children, for example, why on earth are we playing games with it? If you do something so awful to a child, you're done. And we have a court system that adjudicates it and goes through and has the trial and everything else. And we have this system. The people that are sitting there going, well, what about a life? Well, I speak to the life that was taken and the value we put on life. This is not about revenge. This is about accountability.
Yes.
It's about accountability and to get somebody to reconcile to meet their maker, because that's exactly what they have to do when they face death. And I believe it does act as a deterrent, because maybe, just maybe, somebody's sitting there committing a crime and they realize, wow, this could end my life. I think that's a calculation. Not all people, not all sickos think that way.
Right.
They don't. Some are going to do it anyway.
Yep.
But the point is, it sends a signal on what we value.
Accountability is, I think you're spot on. I think that's the perfect word. And I think that there are millions of Americans. I think that there was a lot, obviously, there was a lot of factors and a lot of emotions and a lot of reasons that went into, all the votes last week. But I think the soft on crime approach and the fact that so many people believe that criminals haven't been held to account, at the highest level ever over the last 4 years, is a big reason why we saw such an overwhelming victory for Donald Trump. And I think that this story and this approach by Donald Trump is just one of many to say it's time to get back to some common sense and some reality about being tough on crime. Crane, really appreciate your time as always, my friend. We've had Crane for the entire hour, and I feel like we just got started. I feel like we could do so much more. So, really appreciate your time as always, buddy. And
Tony, thank you. And thank you, Emily. And just to everybody, I know you might disagree with me, but thank you for that. And thank you for the opportunity to do so for our veterans who have defended that freedom. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
God bless.
Yeah.
Love you.
Appreciate you, buddy. Love you too. And it's all about, it's great when we agree, but it's also important when we disagree, and to be open to having those conversations. Crane Durham, you can find him at nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. We will continue the conversation with our friend Susie Moore from Red State next.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here. I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the GOP-led Congress will be ushering in a new day in America.
Republicans in the House and Senate have a mandate. It's true. It was a decisive win across the nation.
The American people want us to implement and deliver that America First agenda.
Speaker Johnson earlier today on the steps of the Capitol. President-elect Trump will nominate former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel. He says that Huckabee is a staunch defender of Israel, and his intended nomination comes as the president-elect has promised to align U.S. foreign policy more closely with Israel's interest as it wages war against Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Also at townhall.com, the Biden administration says Israel has made good but limited progress in increasing the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza, and therefore it will not limit arms transfers to Israel, as it had threatened to a month ago if the situation had not improved. A judge blocking a Louisiana law requiring classrooms to display the Ten Commandments.
The judge said the law is unconstitutional on its face, and plaintiffs are likely to win their case with claims that the law violates the First Amendment. Opponents say the law is a violation of the separation of church and state, and that the poster-sized display of the Ten Commandments would isolate students. Advocates, meanwhile, say the measure isn't just religious, but the commandments also have historical significance in the foundation of U.S. law. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A Massachusetts Air National Guard member who pleaded guilty to leaking highly classified military documents about the war in Ukraine will be sentenced today. 22-year-old Jack Teixeira sentenced in Boston. Prosecutors want 17 years in prison. More at townhall.com.
This are 65 or older, you know this, inflation is hitting everyone hard right now, especially when it comes to healthcare. Over the last 10 years, healthcare costs have skyrocketed by, get this, 230%. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know there are still out-of-pocket expenses like deductibles and co-payments, and they really add up. But here's some good news. MediShare 65 Plus is designed to fill in those gaps and help protect you from rising healthcare costs. At only $99 per month up to age 75, you get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MediShare is trusted, too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MediShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call, too. Call now, 855-PSALM-32. That's 855-PSALM 32. 855-SALM.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Lots of sunshine out there again today, but it's definitely cooler than yesterday. We were in the 30s this morning, and the high today in the upper 50s, probably close to 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. Now, it will get a little chilly tonight, but rain is likely tomorrow, especially in the afternoon and evening. Some scattered showers, maybe a quarter inch of rain for most of us. Not a big deal. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
So Sunday was Leaf Day at my house, and the front yard was enough to fill the entire yard waste bin. So I'm not even or just barely halfway done, and I thought I was going to get it all done in one day. And it just goes to show you the amount of leaves that have been falling out of the sky. And if there's that many leaves in your yard, then there's that many leaves on your roof. And if you do not have the proper leaf protection on your gutters, that could be a big problem this time of year. And that is why it is so great to have a team like the Gutter Pros that you can call that can take care of that problem for you. The Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We've had the Gutter Pros at our house for multiple reasons. We had a gutter issue that we inherited when we bought our house a few years ago. And since we had to have that the gutters repaired anyway, we took that opportunity to also get the leaf protection taken care of at that time. And when you see, what's happening out there this time of year, it's it feels like you did exactly what you were supposed to do. That leaf, if you've got tons of leaves up there clogging your gutters, It may not be a huge issue right now, but that is something that is the exact kind of conditions that can complicate things and create a much larger, more costly problem down the road. So whether it comes to gutter repair or new gutter installation, siding repair or new siding installation, or this time of year, especially that leaf protection up there with your gutters, the Gutter Pros do it all. Call them now at 314-656-7195 or just go to gutterpros.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News commentary.
Kamala's losing campaign burned through over $1 billion, millions wasted on celebrities and sex podcasts. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Our nation's economic problems have been building for the past 50 years, and they're not going away overnight. Dr. Ron Paul here, and this is why I recommend diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold, a proven bedrock in any economy, with my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold. Text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Report circulating that Kamala's $1 billion campaign can't pay its bills and is possibly defaulting on payments to vendors. Kamala's Vibe campaign shelled out megabucks paying for fame, glitz, and glamour, and they still lost. Remember that Oprah town hall? Well, it reportedly cost the Kamala campaign $1 million. But it gets worse. When folks were literally drowning in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Helene, you know where Kamala was? Recording a raunchy sex podcast with Alex Cooper in a replica set that reportedly cost 6 figures. Kamala's campaign was entitled to drop whatever they wanted, but the tone deafness really is next level. Good news is Donald Trump is such a nice guy. He even offered via a social media post to help Kamala with her bills. What a nice guy. But aren't you glad you didn't elect Kamala to manage America's pocketbook? I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Big thanks to Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com for joining us in that 2 o'clock hour. If you missed any of that great conversation, just make sure you subscribe to our podcast, because we put this show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day, and we put it on basically every podcast platform. So it's the best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on Colombo and Company. Just subscribe to Colombo and Company on your favorite podcast platform. All right, as I mentioned, joining us now, as she does every Tuesday afternoon, is our friend Susie Moore from Red State. Susie, 1 week removed from the election, and obviously still tons of reaction and fallout and everything, on the heels of that election. How do you feel in general, 1 week removed from this election, and the direction of this administration, and just the reaction overall that we're seeing in the country to the election of Donald Trump?
It's been a lot to take in. I think we were so focused on, getting to the election and getting a favorable outcome that I think many, I was one of them, didn't really stop to, envision, okay, what's it going to look like if he wins? What is, what are the months after that and the weeks after that going to look like before he takes office? What all is going to come down the pike? And so now we're kind of getting the fun of that. Most of it is fun. Most of it is, either kind of chuckling in some respects over some of the reaction from the left, or reveling in some of the decisions, easy for me to say, that he's already making. So far I've been pretty pleased with the personnel decisions that he's made or rumored to be making. I know we've still got 2 months to go till he's actually in office, and I'm still kind of waiting to exhale because I figure they're still going to be throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him that they can.
So we in that 2 o'clock hour with Crane, we went through a lot of the the cabinet positions that have been announced and the ones that are being rumored and debated right now. So I don't want to redo that whole conversation, but I do want to ask you about probably the one that's making the most news and will continue to make the most news for the next 24 hours because the vote is happening in the Senate tomorrow, is about the Senate Majority Leader, who's going to take over for Mitch McConnell. We outlined this in the conversation last hour that the Trump pick appears to be Rick Scott, even though Donald Trump hasn't said that publicly. All the Trump people are endorsing Rick Scott. However, most of the news that the stories that I'm seeing coming out of Washington, D.C. still believe that it's actually Senator Thune who is the more likely to win, not Rick Scott. How do you handicap that, and what are your thoughts about this leadership position?
Yeah, it's interesting because, frankly, I'm not really enthralled with any of the three. I guess I'm glad that Mitch McConnell is no longer going to be the leader as much as there were times when I appreciated his leadership. There was a lot of times when I didn't. And I don't feel like I don't get a really great feeling for any of the three. I think that the MAGA cloud around Rick Scott is maybe a little illusory. And by that, I mean, there's a push right now from people who are very pro-Trump to elevate Scott because both Cornyn and Thune are thought to be much more establishment-y. And I think that's fair, but I don't know that Scott is all that in a bag of chips either. He didn't do a great job in his role at his other leadership role. And I don't know. I guess my feeling is, it's going to be, I guess it's going to be one of the three of them. We haven't gotten any indication that there could be like a, surprise winner other than one of the three. And of the three, he might be the least worst of the three. So I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about that, but I also don't know right now, at least for the next 2 years, how critical that role is going to be. So I'm trying not to get too wrapped up in it.
So that's happening, and obviously is, sucking up a lot of air in the room. And then I read on Red State today, and we're talking to Susie Moore from Red State, that there is some rumors and reports coming out that there could be another move by certain House Republicans to replace Speaker Mike Johnson. So, is this the time for that? I don't know. But can you fill us in on what could be happening in the House?
I actually haven't had a chance to read Bonte's article on that. I know it just published, and that wasn't one that I edited. So I am not up to speed on what the various machinations are. My sense is that that's more some rumbling and stuff. Keep in mind the decision that they're all going to meet tomorrow, and someone's going to be put forth as the nominee. And it makes zero sense for it to not be him put forth as the nominee. That's no guarantee that when they vote on it in January, he's the winner. I mean, we could end up with a repeat of what we had in 2023,
right?
With the whole Kevin McCarthy thing, because what was it, 15 votes before he got approved?
Yeah, and you need to remember, it's important to remember that he can have overwhelming support, but it doesn't take much to start this process. Again, so it only takes a few people. Really, honestly, it really only takes one. But it takes just a very few people in the House, Republicans in the House, to start this whole process. So it doesn't even necessarily mean that he's lost the backing of the majority of the Republicans in the House. It just means that maybe there's a small number of people that are considering something.
Yeah, absolutely. With as thin a margin as they have and will have, I mean, right now we don't know what the final numbers are going to be. I know for some reason Fox News is still not called. I mean, I think they've still got the House GOP at 214. We called it for the GOP yesterday. We've got them at 219. They could pick up 2 more. I don't think they're going to pick up 3 more. So it's still going to be a very slim margin. And keep in mind, 2 of those have already been tapped to be in the incoming administration. So those seats will if there are, if they follow through on that, those seats will be then vacant for a short while at least.
Yeah. And
So
I was
there's
go
not
ahead.
a lot of room to spare.
Right. I just was I was just surprised to even see, that headline today with everything else going on. I will say, like you, this is like brand new, so I haven't had a chance to really
Yeah.
digest it, word for word. But even in the report on redstate.com, is it Bonchi? Is that the
It's Bonchi.
yeah. The article says that they believe that this is more smoke than fire. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is just some, maybe some people just trying to get a little bit
Kind
of
of
attention.
I think they're just trying to remind people that they're there.
Yeah.
They have a voice. Keep in mind, they're operating in a different environment than they were 2 years ago because they've got the presidency now. They've or will, after the inauguration, they've got the Senate. They're going to have to play ball. I mean, that in a way dilutes their power because they're going to want to curry favor with the Trump administration. And if they're mucking things up by, getting things all screwy in the House while he's trying to get his agenda moving, he's probably not going to take too kindly to that. And he's been pretty favorable to Johnson. So my suspicion is that Bonchi's right. And this is, pretty much just smoke.
Mm-hmm. So outside of the appointments and the team building that Donald Trump has been doing, the other side of this, as we sort of touched on at the beginning here, is the reaction and by the Democrats and the media and the fallout there, and some of the more extreme things we've seen reported on the left. For example, this idea of Joe Biden stepping down so Kamala Harris can still get her moment as president of the United States before Donald Trump is before January and Donald Trump takes the office. This is a new level of like cope that we're just we don't want to make her oversee her own election loss, so let's make her president of the United States for a month. I mean,
yeah, that's not insulting in and of itself. Mike Pence had to oversee his, and in a very tumultuous way. Al Gore had to oversee his. It's not like this has never happened before. So, spare me the pity. I think I jokingly, before the election, when everything blew up over that Tony Hinchcliffe joke at Madison Square Garden, I said, imagine this scenario. Trump wins the election. Joe Biden steps down, allows Kamala to become 47. So then all the Trump merchandise that says 47 has to be ditched and it gets put on a barge to Puerto Rico. That was my joke scenario.
Yeah. Well,
Twitter.
It went from meme to headline, this idea of Kamala Harris becoming president. I don't think that there's any reality to this. One of the reasons that I think that is because I don't think that Joe Biden likes Kamala Harris anymore. And I don't think he's looking to do her any favors on top of how obviously ridiculous this is. Do you see any credibility in the idea of this happening?
I don't think he'll step down between now and January 20th. Now, he could step in a hole on the beach like he was trying to struggle through the other day. And there could be something dire that happens, God forbid. But no, I agree with you. I don't think Joe Biden is going to be inclined to make Kamala Harris president for a day. And so I think it's a little far-fetched, but it's the kind of, as you said, cope that people tend to engage in when they're on the losing side of things. And obviously there's a lot of people on the left and a lot of pundits on the left that are not handling this well.
So here's the other one. This story I first saw start to make headlines late last week, and it's kind of continued through the weekend and into this week. Reportedly, there are at least some Democrats behind the scenes discussing the idea of pressuring Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor to step down before Trump takes office, so Joe Biden and the Democrats can appoint a younger Supreme Court justice that would be there longer. Sotomayor is 70 years old. We've certainly seen justices serve well past the age of 70, but I guess just if you're the oldest your name is on the list, I guess.
Well, she's got health issues.
Yeah.
She's got type 1 diabetes. And so I think the thought is that her health issues may sideline her earlier than others. And so they don't want that to happen during a Trump administration. I understand where they're coming from on that. But the problem is that there's no guarantee that they would get a nominee approved. I mean, we're not even talking about what happened in 2016. And I realize that the Democrats are still in control of the Senate, and Chuck Schumer would have something to say about that as opposed to Mitch McConnell. But we're past the election now. It's not even in the closing days of the election. Not only that, I don't know that Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema would go along with them. So I think that's a
great
very, very risky proposal. And unless Sotomayor voluntarily says, you know what, you're right, I'm done, I'm hanging it up, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just kind of silly.
But this, I think, is now the new normal. Anytime that
Yeah.
there is a president is either in their 7th year or 8th year, or if it's like a situation like this that an incumbent gets defeated by the other side, if they have the power and they think it's possible, I think this is the new thing, because we didn't do this before, but now it seems to be regular. Like we scramble to put the justices on, get somebody appointed at the very end of a presidential term.
No.
I think this might be the new normal, unfortunately.
I was one of those who was I understood the move by Mitch McConnell back in 2016, but I had a little hesitancy over it. I was like, that's kind of crappy. In hindsight, I guess I'm grateful, though, because that would have meant Merrick Garland sitting on the Supreme Court, and I don't know that I could have abided that. But there's also people talking about, okay, well, once Trump takes office, Clarence Thomas is getting a little long in the tooth, and so is Sam Alito. Do they need to be starting to think about this?
Yeah.
Well, sure. Each one of those judges has to consider, okay, how much more time am I going to put in here, and am I doing a disservice if I do it at the wrong time? But that's their decision to make, and I'm not a big fan of trying to pressure people in that situation.
Do you think that this ends at least for now, because of the Republicans taking control across the board, that this will put on the back burner the idea of packing the Supreme Court and ending the filibuster and making DC a state, all these ridiculous things?
Well, we sure aren't seeing a lot of calls for that from the Democrats now, are we?
I know, yeah. But without the power, hopefully this is hopefully this is going to end that conversation, at least
for now. It will. I know you're not going to see it coming from the Republicans. They're not going to be pushing for that, and so that's going to be very much on the back burner for the foreseeable future.
And we're almost out of time. I'm talking to Susie Moore from Red State, but I wanted to touch on this. We've talked a lot about, and you've heard a lot about this mandate that Republicans have, and this idea of, look, they've elected Donald Trump as president, Republican as president. They've given the Republicans control of the House and the Senate. So, we bought what you were selling, and now you need to produce. We're going through something here in the state of Missouri with the announcement of Representative Justin Sparks, who was on the show yesterday talking about this, running for Speaker of the House, sort of upsetting the system. I think that the mandate on Republicans nationally, I think you can sort of fine tune that and say the same thing about the state of Missouri right now. Once again, just like the national elections, voters giving the Republican Party in the state of Missouri, carte blanche, super majority. But we've seen this Republican Party in the state of Missouri not deliver on some conservative issues in recent legislative sessions. Do you think that there is a mandate on Republicans, both in the state of Missouri and at the national level, to deliver now that they have had such an overwhelming victory on Election Day?
Well, I think there's absolutely the expectation that at the national level that that Trump and the Republicans will deliver. I mean, I think that's a given. On the state level, I think you can extrapolate that as well. I think you can lay Amendment 3 passing directly at the feet of the chaos and the lack of leadership, the poor leadership that we've had in recent years. I think that, just as voters aren't really fond of the swamp in DC, nor are they fond of the swamp in Jeff City. And I think that if this new session doesn't deliver on some of these key conservative goals, you're going to see, the pitchforks and the tar and feathers start to come out, because this is ridiculous.
And they deserve it. They both, at both
absolutely
levels.
deserve it.
If they don't, if the Missouri Republicans don't, produce for conservative voters in the state, or if the Republicans nationally don't move forward on these issues, they absolutely deserve it if they're damaged by it. Go ahead.
I really hope the leadership and the people that went into, axing IP reform, I really, really hope that they feel good about the fact that abortion is now legal in Missouri. I hope that makes them feel great.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I hate that I am right. And I know that you are, one of many people like me that talked about this, but this was my prediction that this would be the massive wake up call, that they didn't get IP done, and it's going to cost Missourians with the abortion.
It's going to cost lives.
Yeah.
Literal lives.
And unfortunately that has materialized, and it's the blame is laid at the feet of Missouri Republican leadership for being in the position that we're in. Susie Moore from Red State, redstate.com. Really appreciate your time as always, my friend. Great talking with you, and look forward to talking again soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Tony. You too.
That is Susie Moore from Red State. Check out redstate.com, and we are going to continue the conversation. We're going to double dip this week. Our buddy Mike McCleary from Intervine, our AI expert, was with us yesterday afternoon. But then today, there's a big headline about this petition to Donald Trump to make Elon Musk create a position within this administration to make Elon Musk the special advisor to the White House focused on AI. So, gotta get Mike McCleary's thoughts on that, and we will do so next on Colombo Company.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, a great place to go for so many reasons. So many products and services that can help you with your home, with your lawn. If you own any property, if you have, if you own a body of water on a piece of property, if you have livestock in any way, they do it all at the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store. They are located in Old Town St. Peters, and they have been there for nearly 100 years. But I meet people all the time that have not visited the Old Town Country Store and are unaware of all these great things, these products and services that can help you so much. So get out there and check them out. They are on 2nd Street in Old Town St. Peters, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. You can actually see their big 2-story grain elevator from the interstate. And just as an example, they have a huge selection of products and services for your home and yard, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, including anything from the family dog or cat to farm livestock. They have smaller services like they'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. So again, visit them on 2nd Street in Old Town St. Peters, and you can also learn more on their website, oldtowncountrystore.com.
Hey O'Fallon, it's Lauren from Dirty Dan's Pizza and Wings, your woman-owned, locally operated slice of heaven. We're serving up the best pizza and wings in town, made with the freshest ingredients and a whole lot of love. Check out our mouth-watering menu and daily specials. Dine in or carry out, the choice is yours. Join our loyalty program at dirty-dans.com for extra perks, and mention News Talk STL for $5 off purchases $25 or more weekdays from 11 to 3. Dirty Dan's Pizza and Wings, where every bite is a local delight.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
A loyal listener sent me an email of something that happened in her church. Last Sunday was the first worship session since Trump won re-election. At one point, the congregation is asked any special prayer request. You get the usual. My sister is sick. My dad suffered a stroke. My child is not well. Various needs for prayer. But one fairly new member stood and used the time to lecture members who voted for Trump, calling them racist, homophobic, stripping women of rights. After being lectured, my listener said she stood and told the woman, I'm not garbage, not a racist. I believe in life before and after birth. I will pray for you. And she left. Some members started applauding. Later, she said she got phone calls from some who said the minister added, it doesn't matter what side of politics you're on. You were first a Christian, an American. All true. My listener added, when Biden won, I didn't like it, but I sat quietly. My question to you is, what would you have done if that had happened in your church? Why is it some of the left come unhinged when they don't get their way? Politics aside, their hate for Trump is greater than their love for their nation.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. Come see my band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, a tribute to Duran Duran, and Somebody to Love, a tribute to Queen. Saturday, November 30th at Diamond Music Hall, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Get your tickets now at diamondmusichall.com.
Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, now open in the district of Chesterfield Valley. Napoli has the only coal-fired pizza oven. That means an incredible taste you cannot get anywhere else. So enjoy a unique pizza at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district. And then walk a few doors down and enjoy premium cigars and drinks at Lit Cigar Lounge. There's a perfect way to end the evening. Napoli Pizza followed by Lit Cigar Lounge. A winning combination.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention News Talk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention News Talk STL for 10% off.
With the average funeral bill over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Speak with Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Contact Benjamin at memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial, everlasting protection.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Trump says the mass deportations will go forward. We'll see how they unfold in the coming days.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Was this one on purpose? I'm kidding.
Yeah, this one was. This is a very Friday, like kind of end of Friday and the end of but it's Tuesday, which is basically, if you look at it the right way, it's the very end of last segment. Kind of song.
Okay, gotcha.
It's curated.
All right. So there's the purpose behind that. When we were playing Christmas music on accident a little earlier. Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. And we are, it's good that we just identified that it is Tuesday, because we're talking to Mike McCleary from Intervine, who is usually with us on Mondays and was with us yesterday, but don't check the calendar. Mike is putting in a little double duty with us this week because of this announcement today, this headline today about Elon Musk and this idea of creating a position inside the Trump administration that would be somebody that would focus on AI and its regulation and its development. We'll get into the details here in a minute, but first, Mike McCleary from Intervine, thanks for putting in a little overtime with us this week. And we've talked a lot about Elon Musk. We've talked about a lot about the future of AI and its impact on politics and everything else. So not necessarily a surprise that this push is, at least in my opinion, that this push is developing right now. Your thoughts?
No, not at all. And good to see you guys, by the way. I'm always with you, listening everywhere on your phones. Little hidden webcam under your desk. Don't worry about that right now. Yeah, I mean, Musk is awesome at this kind of stuff. And like we talked about probably the past, month several times, he's the perfect combination of, a guy who's clearly a genius, a savant on so many levels, understands AI, understands business, understands how to tweak people just the right way on Twitter or X. So he's a great option to be considered for a role like this.
So let me read you these details and get your thoughts and reaction to this. So this is a push being made by an artificial intelligence advocacy group, easy for me to say, that is urging President-elect Donald Trump to make billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk a special advisor to the White House focused on AI. Americans for Responsible Innovation launched a petition yesterday, which touted Musk's work on AI and said that the billionaire has struck a balance between ensuring AI is developed safely and advancing the emerging technology. Their petition that they are trying to get, an overwhelming amount of signatures on says, quote, as artificial intelligence races ahead, the U.S. should lead the world in advancing AI safely and securely. No one is better equipped to help the Trump administration make America lead on AI than Elon Musk. Musk has made major contributions to the field of AI, both as an entrepreneur and as a thought leader. While advancing AI, he has also advocated for AI safety and the need to mitigate existential and catastrophic risks. There's a little bit more, but you get the idea. What do you think about this message and this idea and this, kind of a warning that, if we don't put the right people in charge, that, it could be it could create a dangerous situation going forward. What do you think of that statement?
Yeah, first off, when I heard of this, my spidey senses went up, and it's good, I think, just to kind of cut to the chase here. But anytime I hear any kind of group that sounds like a think tank, they have like an acronym, responsible anything, I get a little nervous. And so when I heard about this, I did some digging into the background of the people behind it.
So again, it's Americans Responsible for Innovation, which I had never heard of, and I assumed that you hadn't either until this story.
I had not at all. And so if you look at who they are, though, they do, even though, the person leading this, who is, I think, Brad Carson, he's a former Democrat. He's a blue dog Democrat when he spent time in the House. But they also have, Richard Burr, former Republican senator of North Carolina. They have Samantha Ravich, who was under Trump, like a vice chair of president's intelligence. There's some other people that are really from both sides of the aisle, and a lot of people that are really smart, some academias also as well. Probably that scares me the most. But they are, it appears to be a group that's kind of, across the board trying to do the right thing. And the fact that they're just not saying, give us regulation, they're instead saying, put someone in your, in your advisory area that understands business and regulation and the importance of AI and the importance of safety to advise on this. They're not telling the regulator, telling them to put this guy Elon there. I respect that decision, because think about what Elon does with his main business. They create AI that actually drives cars that can kill people. So if there's anyone who can balance between AI and tech and staying ahead of the game and knowing the risks involved, I think he really is uniquely qualified for that.
So after looking into them and into this petition a little bit, is it something that you would support and you would say is the right direction to go for this Trump administration?
Yeah, I think I'm cautiously positive about it, because if you read what their mission, their vision, and their goals are, they really do try to balance the whole AI could go terribly wrong, so we need some type of oversight, and also the fact that we got to stay ahead of our competition, talking about our enemies of the state, other countries who aren't going to have any controls at all. So we have to stay up to date on AI when it comes to the government as an agency, defense as a country, and businesses. But we also need to have that balance between, what can it do if it goes horribly wrong?
Yeah.
And so it's a tricky thing. We've talked about this. Very beginning, we talked about, hey, what do you think we should do? And you and I, we don't really know. There's no clear answer. And so I think a person like Elon, this group making what they say is their policy and vision and goals, it does make sense to me. So I think it's cautious optimism.
Yeah.
Is what I'd have here. Very similar to what I felt almost exactly.
Yeah, no kidding. And when it comes to the AI issue, the people that have a credible background and reputation and that truly do understand the issue, the people that could do this, it's a pretty short list. So, I mean, truly. And so Elon Musk, I think could do some, in my layman opinion, would be a good person to.
I think so as well. Another thing they're also calling for is to get more people with AI expertise into the government agencies. Because think about it, we have so many people, that don't understand it. And so they're either going to do one of two things. One, do nothing with AI, so we'll continue being the most inefficient government in history. Or two, just go ahead and implement AI without understanding what it really does. You have to have that balance. You have to have people understand it. And so by putting people in the government are advocating for that, I think that's also a smart thing. I think every business is going to face this decision. Government should be treated any differently. They need people who understand this technology. I just want to keep academia as much as possible out of this. As much as I love some of the big universities and what they teach, I think academia has done a lot of not so good things as far as progress, in the area of science and physics. We've made no progress in physics in the past 70 years or so because they've kind of clamped down on it. I don't want to see that happening to AI.
Yeah, let's go into the private sector and the business sector and get somebody who has in reality used
exactly, not just taught something theoretical.
Mike McCleary from Intervine, thanks again. A little double duty this week. Really appreciate the insight on a Tuesday afternoon, my friend. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
Yeah, you bet. Don't forget about Intervine.com. That's Mike's company. Great local family-owned business, makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps on the market. You can go to Intervine.com, use my name Tony as your promo code, and get 25% off everything. All the flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, even batteries in all different sizes. You can stock up on it at 25% off with my name Tony as your promo code at Intervine.com. All right, that's going to do it for Emily and I today. We'll be back tomorrow at 2. Keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there's a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency. We're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.